life centers one black man's story framed by the expertise of several black professionals across the fields of psychology, politics, education, and criminal justice. My life challenged us to explore oppression, poverty, and anti-blackness as the root and maintainer of black mental distress, pipeline to prison, mass incarceration, internalized racism, presenting as death by suicide, gun violence, and as to how and why everybody knows somebody that has been involved with the justice system. We are all impacted.
What's going on, y'all? Text Podcast Summit to 33777.
And that's right. And be at Midtown Tech Hive, 6 p.m., April 18th. See you there.
See y'all there. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Pull-Up Experience, y'all. We have another great edition. We got my man, Mr. John Morgan, with us today. We're going to talk about his amazing platform, the great things doing in the city, and just overall, just the dope things he's doing. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much. It's my honor to be here with y'all.
Appreciate that,
for sure.
Appreciate that. Then we got Miss Brittany over here.
Hey,
and, we got Steve behind the camera right there, and y'all already know who I am. So we look forward to a great episode.
That's right.
So John, man, we like to start off, and he's a little bit different because we like to say, "Where's your hood?"
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you represent a different hood.
Yeah,
you know
that's a fact. That's a
but
fact.
let them know though.
I'm really from across the tracks from y'all.
Okay,
you know
that's
what
what's
I'm
up.
saying? Different areas. You
And
know, but
shout out to Akron, man.
yeah,
That's
for
right.
sure. I'm born and raised in Akron, Ohio.
That's what's up.
Okay.
Really from the east side of Akron. But when I was in about the 4th or 5th grade, my mother relocated us out to the suburbs. So I graduated from a school out in the suburbs called Copley, Ohio.
Okay.
But born and raised in Akron. All my family is from Akron. My mother's side of the family, my father's side of the family. Everybody is rooted right there in the the city of Akron. You know what I'm saying? So it feels good to be up here. You know, with our second cousin.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know, so yeah, Akron all day for sure. 100%.
No, that's what's up. And you know what? I want to give Akron's props because, like, now with my position I have, I'm in Akron more. So I'm at Waterloo. I'm over by Howh Avenue. Like,
Okay, dope.
Akron is very diverse. You know what I'm saying? It's a very working class city, but at the same time, you still get the suburban life and whatnot. So shout out to y'all.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about where it all began, man. So back in the day, when you were in high school, when you were in school, were you that creative kid that was, you know what I'm saying, who was just creative, or did the creativeness and when did it all cultivate for you?
Yeah. So man, it's that's such a good question. It's so interesting too because honestly, man, like the idea of creativity didn't really sink in for me until later on in life, right? That was something that I came back to in a sense, you know. Now, in hindsight, as a child, I was very creative. I like to draw a lot. I like to color a lot. I like to do things, you know, on the art side. I've always been a fan of music. So there was a creative side of me as a child, but as life progressed and I got older, I got away from it. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't really get bit by the bug again until my early 20s, you know, and it started with just like the idea of entrepreneurship. But really, man, to be completely honest, I owe a lot of it to when I really started to kind of be intentional about my healing and mental health. And like, you know, I was taking in a lot of information and I was learning and doing a lot of self-reflection. One of the things that stood out to me is like the do for self model. So I was working a job, but I'm like, damn, like I'm enjoying the intentionality that I'm putting on myself, or pouring into myself, you know, growing mentally and internally. But I got to do this shit financially as well. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to invest in that aspect of it too. So it really started with, you know, just the self-development, the healing aspect of it. And from there, I was able to kind of like start to get more into the entrepreneurship thing.
And I love how you said that because I think that's the ongoing conflict of it all, of us all. We want to be purposeful in what we do, but then you think about that money.
That's a fact.
Them bills ain't going nowhere, right?
That's a fact.
And when you can conflict the two, I think that's a beautiful thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So no, that's a beautiful. I love that. And then, so y'all know at the Pull-Up Experience we have a different segment we like to call Healing Season. We're going to have to invite you back for that. Okay. We're talking about get back into healing because one of the things that not even for entrepreneurs as a whole, we as human beings, we all have to go through that, you know, and it's like it's possible for you, it's possible for you watching or whatnot. So we'll get back to that though.
Yeah.
So I do want to talk about how, because I know you were in social work, like so you went to school for that, right?
Yeah, I did. So I really came up playing sports. That
Okay.
was my foundation. You know, like many other black boys in America, sports was my identity.
Yeah.
Right. Like I came up playing.
You tall. Y'all can't see on
Yeah,
camera.
yeah. I'm
Right.
a tall dude, so I was a hooper. I played football. Like that was what it was. That was my idea of what it looked like to make it out in a sense.
Yeah.
And that was just kind of like, you know, that's how I gained my identity. That's how I gained my confidence. That's how people started to know me.
Yeah.
Like that was something that I was able to build relationships on. And for real, I learned a lot of valuable life principles and lessons from playing sports. So it started in sports. But then, you know, my last year of high school, we were very good. We were undefeated. But I was the only person to kind of, at that time, I was the only person in my family who was looking to go to school for sports. So I think that it was a lack of understanding and a lack of resources and a lack of education for somebody to be able to educate me on what the next steps would be to be able to go to school to play sports. So because of that, and I had to take some of my own accountability in that as well. I didn't really necessarily do the work for real to be able to put myself out there, to be able to give myself a good opportunity to go to school and play sports. So because of that, the dream faded overnight. You know what I'm saying? So here I am, 19, 20 years old, first year in college, and I'm on my own, but everything that was kind of like setting up the structure for me is gone.
Wow.
So, you know, the mental health stuff starts to set in at that point. So that's when the partying happens. You know what I'm saying? That's when the kicking it happens. That's when the self-medicating happens. You know what I'm saying? All that type of stuff. So from there, man, like it was like, damn, like I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Flunking out of school, not knowing what I'm, you know, trying to do, working a job, trying to figure it out. You know,
Trying to cope with everything.
Yeah, trying to cope with everything. And man, it was a one of my ex-girlfriends, her mother, man, shout out to her. She was the first person. She was a social worker as well, and she sat me down. She was like, John, what you trying to do, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? What you want to do with your life? She took a liking to me. She respected me, and I think she seen that like I was.
See the potential in you.
Yeah, and she seen what I was doing. I was kind of fucking up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? So she seen that too. So she was like, man, what do you want to do? And she asked me if I ever considered social work, and I'm like, no. Like the first thing I said, I'm like, social workers don't make no money. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the myth. That's the, you know, that's the
stigma behind
that's the
it.
stigma behind it. You know what I'm saying? Is that it ain't no money in that. And she laughed. She was like, number one, that's a myth. You know, number two, like you can make a lot of really decent living in social work. You can, like, you know, and especially, and she put it to me like this. She was like, you know, you're gonna be setting yourself apart being a black man in the field because there's gonna be a need for you.
True.
Wow.
Right, so you can make money depending on the system that you work in, but you already gonna be ahead of the game just on who you are, what you look like.
Wow.
So when she broke it down to me like that, and she was like, "Man, you like to work with kids, you like to be around people, like you have a good knack for being able to build a relationship. Consider it, you know what I'm saying?" And the way that she broke it down to me, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna look into that. So that started me going to community college. It's actually cool that you brought this up because literally a couple of days ago, I was able to go back to the community college that really kind of helped me in my social work journey 2 days ago to be a guest speaker.
Come on,
you know, to tell them about my story. So I went to a community college down in Canton. Got my associate's degree, you know, over a 2-3 year period because I had to work my way from the ground up because my grades were so terrible at Akron U that my GPA was terrible. So I ended up going there, getting my associate's degree, and then I ended up coming up to Cleveland State and ultimately got my bachelor's degree, you know, in social work.
Shout out to you, brother.
Yep.
So let's talk about because like once again, like I said this, you being a black man and being social work. If anyone's dealt with social work, like it is, no offense, you know what I'm saying? It is a woman dominated field or whatnot.
It is.
You know?
It is.
And I think that, like you said, having you be able to give that different avenue or different look of it all, I think once again it's probably inspired a lot of different people in different aspects. Because like to see a black man doing it, it's like okay,
For sure.
all right.
100%.
And I want to commend you because, like, I feel like social work, you have to have a different, but you have to have a certain type of demeanor. You gotta have a certain type of spirit about you. Like, you just can't just be doing this.
Yeah.
Doing it and whatnot.
No, for sure. It'll eat you up. You know what I'm saying? Some of the stuff that you will see, you know, on the day to day. And I worked in a couple of different populations, but my majority of the focus is I work with children.
Yeah.
And I worked in the mental health field specifically. And so I was working with elementary school kids, and I would always like to tell people is that, like, you know how we can sit up here and talk about, you know, maybe some things that we experienced in our childhood, right? That's still sticking with us to this day. Like, damn, when this happened to me when I was 8 years old, I still remember that. As a social worker, you know, I was seeing that stuff happen in real time.
Wow.
You feel me? So you see something that happened, you remember something that happened when you were 8 years old.
Yeah.
Imagine seeing the 8-year-old happen to him in real time,
Yeah.
and you know, damn, this is gonna stick with him
This is
for the
gonna
next
affect you for
20.
the rest of life.
Yeah,
Woo.
so it's one of those fields that, man, you have to really be, you know, mindful and intentional about taking care of yourself, because a lot of the stuff that you see can be really heartbreaking. You
I'm
know,
gonna ask
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I'm gonna ask you, so how do you? And like we've had therapists on here. We had people just who deal in the aspect. How do you? Not saying decompress from all, but how do you make it so that you don't have to worry that heaviness of it all?
Man,
Taking it home.
it really, well, number one, especially when you give a damn and you care, there is no such thing as not taking it home. That's just a fact. Like, you know what I'm saying? You do. Like,
Yeah.
when you care about people and you love people, you don't see traumatic stuff happen to people and then you just drop it when you get to the crib. It just don't work like that.
Wow.
So what I had to really ultimately do, man, is I had to really just be more on top of taking care of myself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I started going to therapy around that time, like, you know, after I graduated college. Been going to therapy almost 10 years now, you know. So I really started to just do intentional things along the way, because it's like, man, you know, when you seeing things like that on a day-to-day, it can weigh on you, and it will weigh on you.
Yeah.
So I had to just really be mindful of, like, all right, how am I taking care of myself? Who am I surrounding myself with? You know, I have a very, you know, my wife is like my rock. You know, that's my partner. You feel me? That's somebody that I can come home with and just be myself.
Yeah.
You feel me? I can take the cape off. Like, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gotta be on 10 like I am outside. Like, I don't have to be in that space. You know, I can just be John. You know what I'm saying? I can release that. So
That's a beautiful thing, bro.
yeah, for sure, 100%, bro. I don't take that for granted at all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So those are things that you got to really take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You really do.
That's good, because I know as entrepreneurs, or just people in general, let me stop this saying entrepreneurs. I feel like we all have to have a way of how we decompress from the weight of the world.
Yeah,
sometimes.
for sure.
Guys know for social work, you like you said, I know it's a whole different degree.
It is.
So no, and then once again, I want to commend you for that, brother. Because like I said, you gotta, man.
Yeah.
Because like when you said, like, I if we think right now, I think about moments like, dang, that was traumatic in my childhood. And like I said, it still affects us to this day. And to be able to see it in real time and know they don't know it, but you see it.
I
like,
know.
I know. Hey, you know it. Oh man, I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, it's
though.
deep, man. It's deep, and it can be heartbreaking.
Yeah,
for sure.
But okay, so let me ask you this. So when did it, so of course you still working your job, you're still doing that. When did you transition into creating creating a podcast and creating content that speaks to who you are as a person?
So in 2018, I graduated college, got my I got my degree at that point. I was working in the field with my associates even before then, but when I got my bachelor's, it just kind of gave me another level up in the field. I graduated college and I also got married in 2018. But in this year 2018 too, at this point in time, I'm already like digesting all this entrepreneurship stuff. So I'm already like making my way out, right? Like I'm already like, all right, look, I'm gonna get my degree, but like this working shit is over with. Like I'm setting up the plan now to get about it. I'm already thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? So in 2018, I was working for the Boys and Girls Club, and I was a club director there, working with teens, and that's the first time I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that, you know, that
come on, I got that one time.
Yeah, you already know. You already know. That was the book that kind of like just opened my mind to, you know, what, again, do for self model what kind of look like investing and things like that, investing principles and stuff like that. So from there, it started with, you know, with real estate. You know, I bought investment homes, rental properties and stuff like that. Started wholesaling and doing things like that. I was on it tough, right? But I had to keep it real with myself. I was only doing it for the money. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm one of them type of people that, like, man, you know, I really like to be, you know, I like to really assess myself. And like, if I ain't fulfilled, I gotta shift it some way, somehow. You know what I'm saying? So from there, I remember telling my wife, like it was yesterday, 2019, I'm like, man, I think I want to start a podcast. Like, you know, when I was, again, going back to stuff when I was a child, I always, like, you know, I had a love for, like, sports, media, things like that. Like, at one point in time, I thought I was going to, like, go in the world of being a sports broadcaster. It just didn't work out that way. But I remember I was like, man, I'm going to start a podcast. And she was like, go ahead, I think you should. So I started the podcast in 2019.
Shout out for encourage you, brother.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Shout out my love. Shout out you, babe. I love you, see. So when that was the first like building block in the content creation space, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? I started recording episodes in 2019, and that was the first time that I really put myself out there. Because prior to that, like, those who know me, they know that I really wasn't a social media dude. Like, that was not my speed at all. Like, it was actually to the point where, like, I was actually like one of them people who was like so anti-social media that like I was working hard to not be on it. Like, when people be on Twitter going hard, I'm like, man, I'm not, man. Get away from me with that, man. Talk to me for real. Like, you know, I was being, I was being adamant that I wasn't gonna be on it.
Yeah.
You know, so that was the first time that content creation kind of started, and that was in 2019.
So let me ask you this: so so I know for me before I started, I was a podcast head. You can't tell me like when I'm on my commute to work, off of work, free time. Before I go to bed, I'm listening to.
Me too.
What were some of the podcasts that inspired you that you listen to? Is like,
man, that's a great question. Man, there was so many. So at that time, I was listening to a lot of real estate podcasts. I was listening to Bigger Pockets.
Come on, Bigger Pockets.
I was listening to Rod Cleef's Multifamily.
Come on.
I was listening to. It's funny because this is before Earn Your Leisure. I was listening to Black Wealth Renaissance. You know,
come on, you throw it all the way back.
They was before Earn Your Leisure.
They bro, listen,
they were.
Let's talk out the words.
Yeah,
but I remember Black Wealth Renaissance. They were before their time.
And then like it was also I was listening to the Breakfast Club. I started listening to Joe Budden around this time. I started listening to Arian Foster. Arian Foster used to play for the Houston Texans. Used to play running back and for the Dolphins. He had a real good podcast called the Now What Podcast. And I was actually blessed enough to be able to have him as a guest because he was actually one of the one of my inspirations in like starting the pod. Like seeing a dude just kind of had this transition and had these real life conversations.
Yeah.
But I was taking in all type of content. I was like you, bro. I was a podcast dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? I would listen to all type of podcasts, but those are the ones that really start sticking out to me back then.
Wow. And I this because like this is difference between consuming content and actually creating. It's two different things.
That's a fact.
That people can't distinguish. They're like, well, it can't be that hard. You try it.
You don't have no idea.
You have no idea. So talk about the first days that you creating your podcast and what it look like.
Man, dog, I ain't gonna lie to y'all.
This is a great time in Cleveland tonight, and I think what we look at is black excellence on display right now.
I feel blessed. From the moment I walked in the door, I heard Mr. Wheaton and congratulations and everything. Now all the way up to upstairs, same thing, man. It's a blessing.
I am feeling really grateful, very blessed. It's just an amazing experience to be able to be in the room with so many amazing people and people that are game changers and world changers. That's breaking bread and making businesses in Cleveland, Ohio.
This is a night for the books for not only Cleveland but Ohio. I'm so proud of Tenora.
I look back at some of the early stuff. Oh, it's so cringy.
Oh yeah.
God, man, it's so cringy, man. Like,
and Brittany laughing because she started her podcast. And
it's so cringy. Like when I look back, I don't even like looking at it. Like I was shooting off my iPhones. A little cheap little tripod, like a little terrible little shotgun mic. Like I was just getting it done. I was taking imperfect action.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Top episode.
Yeah, you gotta take imperfect action. Like it ain't about doing it perfect. You know what I'm saying? You gotta just put yourself out there.
That's good.
But at the time too though, like I was creating content based off of content in which I thought that it was supposed to be.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really have my voice. I was replicating other voices in which I had some of the stuff that I had just spoke to. You know what I'm saying? So when I look back on them, I'm like, John, you ain't being yourself, bro.
Yeah.
But it took those early reps for me to be able to see, like, all right, I gotta find my way and find my voice, which I believe I have now.
Yeah.
Behind that microphone. But that early stuff is cringy, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can still check it out, but trust and believe it's not. That ain't what we on today. You know what I'm saying?
Man, listen. You know what? And this is what I need everyone who consumes content look at the progression. Don't look for perfection.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Because like, so another podcast, y'all already know Social Proof, they come to Cleveland. But when he first started, you would hear in the background of his podcast the airplanes going over the podcast. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like, I love hearing it because like now you hear it. It's crystal clear now. You know what I'm saying? But once again, you have to go through the hurdles to get to where they were at. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And you will talk about. I remember when we first started, bro. I had the laptop. We was using the laptop. We had no mic. It was just you can't hear nothing. You hear, hey, what's going on, girl? It was all bad. But once again, now we know, and I can tell you time we recorded something, then he record, it was all bad. And shout out to Steve. This is why I will forever love Steve, man. Because when we first started, it was all bad. I would have the angles. It would be like all crooked and whatnot. But like you said, in perfect action though.
That's right.
Doing those things helped us learn. All right, before we start these things, we got to make sure. Mic check. We still do mic checks to this day.
Right. You got to learn that you got, once you record, you have these big files. Like, you got WAV files. Like I had no idea what a WAV file is. Like, how do I transfer this to be able to edit it? Then,
Absolutely.
Then you have to look at like, okay, I have to run this like a business. I have to get, I have to outsource things. I have to build my team. I got to be able to bring in people who do this stuff a little bit better than me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So those are the things that I learned early on. Like, all right, this is work.
Yes.
Like this is something that you got to be able to like, build it in real time and craft it, that works best for you. But them early days is cringy. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I ain't gonna lie.
And I just love that because like, and that's why I love having other people do podcasts because like I understand.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I keep commending y'all on making 200 episodes, man. That's a big deal, man. That is a big deal.
Yeah, no, man.
We're gonna celebrate that.
No, absolutely, bro. But like you said, it's it takes work, and there's another thing, having a team. Like I know it's you and your wife, but I think our team had to pull up because shout out to Brittany, shout out to Steve, shout out to Marquita, shout out to Nakia, shout out to Michelle, shout out to everyone was a part of this thing because it's not just myself.
Yeah,
make this thing work
for
or
sure.
not. Cause bro, I pray for the person who does a podcast by themselves.
Right, yeah, no, it won't even last.
Oh, yeah.
It won't last. Like, yeah, I have people, like I have an engineer who's been working with me, Darrell, shout out Darrell. Darrell had me do a lot of stuff on the engineering and the audio side. My guy Gabe is like my point person, everything that I do video wise, like, he is one of the nucleuses, and these guys have been with me since day one. Like, you know what I'm saying? Seeing all the ebbs and flows of it. But it was early on that I learned, I got to get people who do this part. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like when you build a sports team. Like, everybody can't play the same position.
That's so good.
Like move out the way. Like, bro, like I need you to handle the ball. Like, I need you to run the lane. Like, you know what I'm saying? You have to look at it in that way. So yeah, man, it's a process for sure.
Absolutely, bro. And I think that's dope because a lot of people just they'll look at they'll see the glory, but I know the story behind it and whatnot, and they will just see the work that went into that. Like you said, I remember those first days like it was nothing, and I remember I used to go on Fiverr and like Upwork and all that good stuff.
Oh man,
and like try to hire somebody to do that joint. Think I'm gonna go, I'll get the cheapest one real quick. You get your pay for it.
Yeah. That's a fact. You learn that quickly. You learn that quickly.
So I got a question for you. So I love how you said you found your voice.
Yeah.
And then this, and we talk about that on camera, but like finding your audience. Your podcast talks about healing, right? And like you said, and I just love how you said it because I can relate so much. Because when I first started, I was like, I want to sound like Troy Rashad. I want to sound like David Shane.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can only be me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about you find your voice and finding and knowing the audience that you wanted to capture.
Yeah. I really do think that a lot of it just comes to reps. Like, you have to do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? You ain't going. A lot of it, especially like, in podcasting specifically, broadcasting has been around forever. You know what I'm saying? But podcasting is really like this new baby. You know what I'm saying? It's this new platform. It's this new wave. It's this new art form, if you will. So a lot of it has to really be. It's got to be crafted to you. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? But again, being a advocate and a connoisseur of taking in the content, your natural thought is like, all right, I'm gonna do what I think works. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I almost think that it's just part of it. Like in anything, especially when you're creating, you create things based off of what you're inspired by. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But along the way, you realize that that your inspiration will then turn into from your own experiences, right? But it has to start with reps. Like, you gotta do it. Like, you gotta record. Like, you gotta watch back that game film and be like, oh dang, it was cringy, but so what? Like, I'm gonna keep showing up for the next one. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of it does just start with like just showing up and doing it and building it in real time. And like, hopefully, man, you got some, you have some day one listeners. They'll tell you, like, they'll tell you, like, either, or I like this or I didn't like that, or you got you got real people in your corner, like, man, all right, you ain't really like, you sounded like this or you sounded like that. Some people told me that along the way too. But truthfully, man, I'm a firm believer that, man, the spirit will tell you, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Your heart will tell you when it's real and when it ain't. Yeah. When I'm watching myself back, I can feel it in my spirit, like, John, that ain't you, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Why you know what I'm saying? Come on, like, come on, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a cusser. You know what I'm saying? Some of them early episodes, like, I'm not cussing, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking like the social worker. I'm scared to cuss because I'm like, man, I don't want nobody to see me, you know what I'm saying, cussing and talking shit on the internet, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm working with the kids, Mr. John, like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, nah, like, I have to be myself. The kid, one thing about them kids is that's the thing I always loved about working with children. Children respect you and they rock with you when they can tell you being you.
That's true.
And if you ain't being you, they gonna smell it, they gonna sense it, and they gonna tell you. They're like, man, I'm cool. You ain't, get out my face. You know what I'm saying? So in the podcasting space, man, a lot of it, started with just getting out there and doing it. Yeah. And like, trusting myself, trusting my inner voice, man.
And I just let it, cause like, so once again, and this is how I introduce you. Shout out to Selene, man, by the way.
Shout out Sil, man.
If you haven't seen the episode, check it out. I forgot the number, but it's on there, okay?
Yeah, shout out Sil.
But he got me hip to you because we don't talk about the documentary or whatnot, but I remember I went to the page, got to watch some episodes. I'm like, man, I just love, and like you said, you can tell someone's being authentic. They're not trying to be off. And I love the fact that the dynamic you and your wife got, I think is dope, bro.
Thank you.
It's something to ask because I'm an advocate for black love. You know what I'm saying?
For sure,
but
for sure.
I love the dynamic because y'all. You can tell y'all being y'all authentic self and y'all being authentic y'all self together.
Yeah,
y'all talking about real stuff.
100%.
And I just love that, man. And I just want to commend y'all because once again, I want to put y'all in the category of like saying y'all talking about healing. Y'all talking about some real stuff. You know what I'm saying? Y'all talking about the episode I call y'all talking about who bad too, right?
Yeah. I definitely bagged my wife, but she hit me with the trump card. She was like, yeah, you bagged me, but God really bagged us, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? So what can I say to that? You feel me? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we like to talk shit a little bit.
Yeah, but I like that though.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
sure.
saying? So and I say that because once again, in the realm of now we got, oh my God, I remember someone said something the other day was like, just like how they put the crates in the hood for the for the crate challenge.
Oh my God!
They just saying it with the mics. You know
oh
what
my
I'm saying?
God!
Everybody got to take them in a relationship.
Yeah,
and there's always some toxic stuff.
Yeah,
you know
go take the mics
away. Take the mics away and whatnot. But I love the take that y'all had a relationship because once again, I felt authentic. It was real. It was dope.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
So let's give flowers what flowers do. But my question to you in that is, how do y'all keep up with what y'all want to talk about in these episodes or whatnot?
Yeah, so like I was telling y'all off mic, man, and one of the things in like finding my voice along the way, I had to really like just be honest with myself, like, all right, John, who do you want to talk to? Right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Who do you want to sit in front of with? Like, who do you want to create with? Who do you want to share space with? Because like at the end of the day, that's what this is. Like we sharing time, space, and energy with people.
Yeah.
When you put it like that, I want to share that with people that, you know what I'm saying, that I can get something with, something that, there's some reciprocation from. You know what I'm saying? So I had to take some time away from the standpoint of like, all right, let me get these ducks in a row. Let me go back and assess and look. Because I've had people on the podcast with millions of followers. Like, you know what I'm saying? People with big platforms. But it didn't really translate to more followers for me or more audience members for me. You know what I'm saying? Because them people didn't come in. There's no reciprocation. I'm putting them on my podcast, but they ain't sharing the post. They ain't liking the post with their name on it. You know what I'm saying? They ain't telling nobody. They ain't sending it out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there was one guest, I ain't gonna name drop it because it ain't no hate. Yeah. But there's a part that I used to do on my episode where I would have the guests lobby to get another guest, right? So I was having the guest lobby to get Charlamagne the God on the show. It was a thing that I did every episode, and I would have every guest kind of like look in the camera and tell Charlamagne why I wanted him to be on the pod. And I had one guest, she was like, I'm not doing that. Like, you know, that don't align with what I'm doing. And I respect it, but at the same time, it's just like, all right, I wouldn't even have had you on here if, you know, if there wouldn't have been, if there wasn't some alignment in that, you know what I'm saying? So, in doing so, again, I began to just assess who do I want to talk to. And like I was like, man, you know, I want to talk to people that I rock with. I want to talk to people who I love. I want to talk to people, you know, who I can really get something with, and then I can have good conversation with. So number one on the list was my lady. Like, you know what I'm saying? Me and my lady, like we talk to each other. Like we friends for real. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? We not like we friends for real. We ain't fake friends. Like we don't, you know, we ain't talking about each other. We not like, you know, not talking to each other. Like we talk, we laugh, you know what I'm saying? We might talk about you in bed, like, you know what I'm saying? We gonna talk, you know what I'm saying? But we friends for real like that. Dope. So in doing so, it's like, man, you know, I want to talk to people that I really rock with and people that I really can, you know, can build with. And then I feel like, you know, especially this in 2024, we've been off to a roll with really, like, you know, creating content that is authentic, but it's like you can tell that there's some genuine reciprocity in the conversation from all the guests that we had, not just my wife. So to answer your question, I try to talk to people that I want to talk to. I no longer look for the big name, the big following, or, you know, I don't even really always take suggestions like that. Like I'm going to talk to the people that I want to talk to. Simple as that. Simple as that. And that's non-negotiable.
Come on now. Wow. Time episode. And by the way, me and Brittany, we were at Credit Space. It's funny because we just had Tracy on here. And Anthony Barnhill, we met him.
Oh, yeah, that's my dude.
He was DJing. Yeah. And I was like, where I know him from, man? And I'm like, yeah.
And I went to high school with him.
Oh, word? Small world, yeah.
Yeah,
shout out to him,
Yeah, man. Once again, and I think that's dope because I think that's a great thing about having your own media because you can choose. You don't have to do like a radio where they got like, we need you to have business.
I'm the boss.
You are the boss.
Exactly.
And people ask all the time, like, how do you vet people having a podcast? I say for me, listen, one of the things that I'm on Instagram, you know what I'm saying? And like, I'm like, oh, they doing something great. You know what I'm saying? Let's have them on and whatnot. Like, because for me, it's always about the curiosity in me. My brain is always like, I want to know how they do that.
Right.
You know, for me, it's never like out of like, we're trying to get it because of the liking or they following. Because you said you ain't never lied. Right. Let me address on that why I can tell you a couple stories about you on the podcast. And I'm like, damn, we had you. We took the time out to have you here. Yeah. To sit down with you. And I'm gonna be real. The least you could do is share the least you could do. We took the time out to have you. That's right. And like you wanna hide the fact you were on the podcast. Then what was the point of being on here? Right. And like but. God, it's still good. And I ain't gonna complain about it, but it's crazy because like every podcast I've ever been on, I'm like, man, I want to tell my mama, I'm telling my cousins, I don't care how many I've been on because once again, you thought enough about me to have you in your podcast, so it means a lot to me. You know what I'm saying? 100%. So I don't understand it in 2024, but that's not for me to decide. Right. But with that being said, man, and then let's talk about the media company, bro. Because this I seen this, bro, and I thought that was dope. You was like, I'm going to take it beyond the podcast. I'm going to create a company around it, and I think that's phenomenal. Yeah. So that happened. Honestly, man, that was God's doing. Like that was not part of the plan. You know, that was something that God put in my spirit, and really God was like, bro, you got to do this. Yeah. And it really started. The start of that was she actually up here in Cleveland. It started with, y'all may know Herbal City. She has a skincare line up here. She real big on social media, real big deal. She actually had a warehouse up here, but she originally from Akron. Okay. I had her on the podcast as a guest. You know, we did a couple of events like live podcast events and stuff like that. She was real cool, and she had reached out to me one time a couple years ago. She was like, "Yo, I want to do like a story, like a little bit of different type of content around my story and about the stuff that I'm doing, but I want to talk to you and I want you to do it." And like I was so grateful for her to, you know what I'm saying, see something in me that I wasn't seeing in myself, and that I was like, cool. I'm like, that's a dope
this is a dope opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So she was really the one who kind of gave me the idea to do something just from a storytelling aspect. Wow. So her giving me that opportunity, telling that story, it led to other opportunities. So from there, I did another short film over COVID, over the pandemic and the impact of COVID and just how it had on just community as a whole. And we interviewed coaches, high school athletes. We went to some AA recovery centers. We went to some women's centers. We did a lot of different things that just cover these different pockets of people who were really impacted by COVID. Because I was one of the people who was really impacted during the pandemic in 2020. So I did that short film, and then from there, it turned into I started doing documentaries. Wow. And I started getting into really the more bag of storytelling. I'm like, all right. This is something that I had no idea that I was going to do, but I started falling in love with the process of doing it. I started falling in love with the editing portion of it, the directing, the having all these different pieces of the puzzle, and I have to mold them, for it to be this brilliant picture. You know what I'm saying? I fell in love with that part of it. Yeah. And then from there, I'm like, all right, I can do the podcast and create my own content and create, still have my own platform. It's a way to get my brand out. And I own it, so I can keep doing that. But this other aspect of storytelling gives me another level to be able to reach a larger audience and to be able to tell stories on a much larger scale. But again, bro, that was not part of the plan. That was something that God's plan. It was, bro. If you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plans. Come on now. You know what I'm saying? So that was something that God lined up for me, and I just kind of took the opportunity, and I've fallen in love with it, and the rest is kind of history at this point.
Come on now, bro. And once again, I remember when Cindy called me, he was like, "Man, I need you to come to Akron. They about to show my documentary." I didn't know he had a documentary. He's like, "I need you to get him now." I'm like, "What did you have a documentary?" Cindy, man. He's like, "No, they've been working on it for a minute." Yeah. And once again, that's how I got introduced to you or whatnot, because you got How in the Pocket. I'm like, bet. You know what I'm saying? And once again, and if you haven't seen the episode, please do. His phenomenal story or whatnot. You did a documentary on that, bro. Shout out to you once again. Thank you, man. So how do you decide on what stories you want to tell, though? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm pretty sure people will hit you all the time like, "Hey, man, I got a story for you." You know what I'm saying?
Oh, my God. Matter of fact, y'all can stop telling me that.
I got a concert for you.
Yeah, I'm cool. But really, man, so how I pick and choose the story, so it's a couple of different things. So one of the first thing was all right, so I'm also connected to a mental health agency in Akron that I work for called Minority Behavioral Health Group. Which a lot of my family and friends work there and have ties to MBHG. And my wife is actually the clinical director of the agency. And so we were just talking about, some things that we wanted to be able to do, some different work that we wanted to be able to do in the storytelling realm. We were able to get access to some funding. And one of the areas that they wanted to really be able to explore was in the criminal justice aspect and justice work. So, being a storyteller and being somebody who wants to be intentional about telling stories, I'm like, all right, if we gonna do that, we got to do it in a way that is serviceable and is digestible to the people that we rock with. Yeah. So when we so that was how it came to be about how I'm gonna pick the story. We had a certain areas of expertise that we had to be able to explore to, but I was able to since I'm an independent contractor and I have my own stuff, I was able to kind of have my own creative freedom and liberties on how I wanted to tell the story.
That's dope.
And that's how we got a chance to tell, Marcel's story. Yeah. But yeah, so that was that's something that that's good for people to know too, like the value of partnerships, and getting creative with partnerships. I position myself with having a media company to be able to be.
Can't sell your home and tired of carrying that load? Drop the house. Gutter Properties will buy your house as is with offers up to $300,000. Need serious repairs, liens, taxes, or judgments? We'll work through your unique situation to get that house off your back. During your free, no-obligation appraisal, we maintain social distancing and take every precaution to ensure your experience is safe. Drop the house. Gutter Properties. Call us or visit gutterproperties.com today.
Partner with a mental health agency to be able to tell these stories within the company of media. It's really
That's
a unique
dope, man.
it's really a unique partnership
Yeah.
in that capacity. But it all started because I had my own company to be able to do so.
Yeah.
But other than that, how I choose to tell other stories too, because we did another story around infant mortality, and you know the infant mortality rate specifically for Black women, you know, and like the Akron area, Northeast Ohio was like one of the highest infant mortality rates in the nation. And we did a brilliant story called More Life, you know, where we followed these birthing mother stories, and we had some other professionals in the story narrating and whatnot. So I try to do it from a place, again, being intentional about healing and really trying to do things to, like, you know, educate Black folks and really try to, like, you know, be able to put Black folks in a good light, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm cool on the stories of exploitive stories or just seeing us in the same. Like, don't get me wrong, I like the ratchet shit too. Like, I'm a blend of, like, you know, I like
You're complex.
That's a fact. You know, that's a fact. I like Sexy Red and I like Rhapsody. You feel me? Like, I like Cardi B and I like J. Cole. You feel me? So it's a, you know, I like the dichotomy of both. But all in all, when it comes to the art of storytelling, I like to show Black folks in all of their range of emotions. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna show spectrum. Yeah, I'm gonna show the whole spectrum. Like, you know, I may show some of the street stuff, but I want to show the joy and the love and the values that we possess as well too. So, man, I really just try to be intentional with the storytelling aspect for sure, 100%.
That's dope, bro. And like I said, you inspire me, bro, because like I told Steve a couple times, like, we get hit with stuff all the time. Like, I would love it for us to branch outside of podcast, and like that just inspired me. Like, shoot, we can do something outside of podcasting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's dope, true, bro. And like I said, and I think the fact that you can tell stories you want versus them telling stories you got to. You gotta do.
Yeah, I'm
like,
cool on that.
Yeah, like that's dope, bro. Like, you can cover whatever you want. You can talk, you can share stories you want. And I think it's one thing, because that's the thing I think I love about podcasts, because you had the vision for it, right? Or you had the idea, and then you come to fruition. Same thing with making a documentary or a movie or whatnot. You had a vision, and you can make it come to life or whatnot.
Yeah, and it's funny because even with Sale, like, he you know, he be teasing me a little bit. He like, man, y'all ambushed me. Like, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't supposed to turn out that way, but it's true. You know, when we initially had the puzzle pieces to do this story, I had an idea of what I thought it was going to be. But as y'all know, man, when you creating something, one of the best principles to really be able to attach yourself to in creating something is, like, you know, the idea of, like, releasing and, like, you know, stepping away from what you think this got to be. Like, release some control, you know, so this can turn out to be the best product for everybody. Like, you know what I'm saying? Check your ego a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not taking notes what he just said, man.
No, for sure.
That's so good.
It's a real thing. So with him, like, I had an idea how the story was going to be told, and I had these other people that we had in there as well. But then, like, when I'm combing through all the footage, I kept telling my guy, I'm like, bruh, his story is standing out. Like, I'm like, I don't know why, I'm like, we got to focus in on him. So we kind of crafted it around his story being the main story that we told, but in telling his, we told a wide range of other stories as well. And I think because of that, because I was diligent in just, like, releasing my idea of the control aspect of it, I think it came out to be a really good product, man. You know, that people are really proud of.
That's that. You know what, bro? This I have favorites, because I like to say all episodes good, but I love having other podcasts on, because once again, I love how you said that. Like, when you release the idea, or you just release the, you know what I'm saying, the creative aspect of it all, you can create a great product.
That's a fact, man. That's a fact.
And, like, it's resonating with me. Like, he is right. Because it's spot on. Absolutely.
Thank you, man.
No, man. Okay. So we talk about the past, talk about the present, let's talk about the future, bro. What does the future hold for you, man? And I didn't even know you did real estate. I'm like,
yeah. Real estate was the foundation for my entrepreneurship journey,
bro.
for sure.
Listen, don't get me started on real estate, bro, because we'll be all right.
I'm sure. But, man, the future, man, it really does look like telling more stories. And, like, you know, being able to tell those stories that have been untold. You know, again, like I said, man, I'm a complex dude. You know, I like the ratchet stuff. I like the, I like the consciousness too. Yeah. But I'm a hopeless romantic. Like, you know what I'm saying? I want to be able to tell rom-coms. Like, you know what I'm saying? I can't even tell y'all the last time I seen a really great black rom-com. Like,
Love Jones.
That's almost 30 years. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's a long time ago.
I know how to think about it like that.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't seen one like in a long time. You know, so I want to kind of get in the space of being able to tell stories from that aspect, and really be able to put the intentionality of, again, showing black folks in the full spectrum, but telling dope stories. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I really want to keep building upon the media company from the storytelling aspect. I really just want to keep pushing the brand to live your purpose. Like, I want to keep pushing that brand and keep waving that flag for the long term. Like, one of my inspirations in starting the company was Nip Hustle. And this thing really is a marathon. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's about the 10, 15, 20-year plan. I didn't grow up thinking that I was going to be an entrepreneur, but now that I am one, like, I'm willing, I'm going to take on everything that comes with this. You know what I'm saying? So I want to be able to tell different stories, man. I want to, tell again, rom-coms. Like, I want to tell different documentaries. Like, I want to get into series making. I have ideas of things that I want to do on the children's side. Yeah. It's really just more about telling more stories and just building upon what we're doing and pushing that message of live your purpose and healing ultimately.
That's so good, bro. And listen, I'm praying blessings over your whole time.
Thank you, man. Bro. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Because I know, how can I say this? It's not, so the stories that they tell about us aren't always in the best light.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. It's always the worst of us. And not too often you hear people saying my goal is to show us in a better light.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So first of all, thank you for that.
Thank you.
And then second of all, the fact that, bro, you said you don't know no bounds. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, you like, hey, there is no something that for this thing. You said kids, rock. I think that's dope. So shout out to you, man.
Thank you, man.
Shout out to you, bro. So, listen, we gonna get to our final four, and like I said, well, me being a podcast connoisseur, I was like, man, every great podcast had like stable questions, right?
True.
And I'm like, well, we need some of our own, and like these ones, this been tried and true, huh, Brittany?
Yes. Oh, faithful.
So, and I know Akron get the same flack that Cleveland does. That and no, time out. Because Akron, I will say a thing about Akron. Akron people do come together. You know what I'm saying? You know, never mind. All right, my bad. That's my bad.
But I say this, man. Everybody got the same problems.
They got the same problems.
You know what I'm saying? You talk to somebody in Akron, you go on Facebook on Akron, you gonna have 20 people saying the same thing, and people ain't coming together. Like, it just depends. Now, I try to work with people in the city that we do come together. Like, that's not my experience because I create something different. You feel me? I work with my people, like, you know what I'm saying? People that's from Akron. You know what I'm saying? So. That ain't my experience. I come together with the people that I build with.
I got you. So that's just how we change the narrative, though, because with that being narrative about Cleveland and Akron.
So I think one of the things is, man, we can't get caught up in the narrative that the internet spread. You know what I'm saying? Like, the internet is not really real life like that. It really is just like it's really like a playground for real. A little bit of everything go on there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Y'all coming together, y'all building. This is an example of people sticking together right here in Cleveland. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think we gotta highlight the people that are doing it. You know what I'm saying? I think when we shine more light on the people who are doing it, you're gonna start to kind of see the narrative change. And like, we gotta pay attention to, be mindful of the narratives that we taking in from the internet. Because a lot of times the narrative that we get from the internet, not really real life.
It's not real life.
You know what I'm saying? So I think we just gotta, do a little bit of those for sure.
No, that's good, bro. No, that's real. Okay, so let me ask you this. Who would you like to collaborate in the future with, bro?
Tabitha Brown. Shout out Miss Tab, man. I love Auntie Tab, man. I love everything about, Tabitha Brown. Like, I love her, I love her energy, I love her spirit. I put her on my vision board this year. Like, you know what I'm saying? I really wanna collaborate and do some stuff with Tabitha Brown. I like everything that she does, from the healing side, from just, she talks a lot of things about
her story.
Yeah, her story is amazing, man. She talks a lot about, finding her voice and being truthful. She was trying to do what she thought would work. But then God was like, nah, if you want this life that I'm gonna give you, gotta be you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm putting that out there to the universe, man, that, Auntie Tab, man, I would love to work with you in the future for sure. 100%.
Hey, Tenora, bring Tabitha back for the Black and Thing out.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. 100%.
That's what's up.
Well, listen, it sounds like there is still a lot to be written before your, lifetime comes to an end. So when it comes to legacy, what would you like, John, for your legacy to be for you as a person? And then what would you like the legacy to be for you? And clearly so many other things that you have yet to fulfill when it comes to business.
Yeah. All right, so on the personal side, like, listen, my biggest blessing in life is that I have been in relationship with good people. Like, I've had some beautiful people pour into me along the way. Yeah. That's been my biggest blessing for sure, without question. Like, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the people who come before me. So on the personal side, like, I want to continue to, like, pass that baton along, specifically with my children. Like, I want them to be able to say, man, my dad was different. Like, he was different than what we seen outside. He was different than what, they experienced over there. My dad was like, he was present. He was there. He was honest. He let me be myself. Like, I want that narrative within my children and my household to be a unique experience to the rest of the world, so they know that, dad was intentional about, pouring into himself so I can pour into them. So that's really what it comes down to, is like, on the personal side, I don't want my children to be able to change this narrative, because I put a lot of damn time into being a good dad. So they better repay it back by telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? So that's that on the personal side. Business side, man. And for the brand and for the media company. Again, I just want to keep reiterating what I said before, which is the opportunity to really be able to tell creative and good stories. Like, you know what I'm saying? We want to tell stories that are serviceable, that are helpful, but are fun, that are funny, that are creative, that's inspiring. We want to be able to tell stories that people, that will ultimately, like, inspire people and change people. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? We want to keep doing that, man. And we want to, because y'all know, listen, man, storytelling is one of them things that never dies. Like, you know what I'm saying? People still telling stories from 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So, and the idea of creating stories, that stuff is going to outlast me, when I'm long gone. You know what I'm saying? So I want to just be able to tell dope stories that's going to, stand here for the test of time.
Shout out to you, brother.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I got so caught up in that. Okay, so I like to call this like the challenge question.
Okay, let's get it.
And it really is going to be a challenge because you have given us so much good information. You said, we really can relate to a lot of what you said. But for those who are viewing this, we're going to kind of take what we've gathered together and condense it on down to 3 key takeaways that someone watching, inspired and motivated through your episode, what should they be able to take away from tonight?
Number 1, take imperfect action. You know what I'm saying? Like,
part of the episode.
Yeah, take imperfect action, man. Like, just put yourself out there. Like, do the reps, show up, just do it. It ain't gotta be perfect. It ain't gotta look like what you think it's supposed to look like. It don't gotta feel, 100% amazing. You can feel a little funny when you're doing, but keep showing up. Eventually, you're going to figure it out along the way, but show up, put the reps in, and just keep showing up, taking imperfect action. That's number 1. Okay. Number 2, man, I really want people to take care of themselves. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is, especially when you build, especially for my entrepreneurs, especially for my creatives, like, man, when you pouring out so much, like, you can't pour from an empty cup. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can't give all of this to everybody and not be giving back into yourself, man. You gotta take care of yourself, especially my brothers, the fathers, you running companies, you raising families. Like, man, we need it more than ever, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta really take care of yourself, so that's number 2. And the last thing, man, tell your story. Like, I'm big on storytelling, but like, everybody got a story. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's story is unique to their experience, and everybody's story has value too. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like,
that's a bar.
Whatever you do, man, don't be afraid to tell and share your own story, because it does have value, and somebody need to hear it.
Yeah.
That's
You know
good.
what I'm saying? So those are my 3.
I've been like think up all night, man.
He sure has.
Man, John, man, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. This has been a good episode, bro.
Thank you, man.
I knew it was gonna be. I already knew it was gonna be a good episode. I always no doubt in my mind about that, but I know how
True.
good it was gonna be.
Appreciate it.
So y'all, when we drop this full experience documentary, we gonna hit up John. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let's do it.
Listen,
We got that on camera.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I'm
no,
saying?
right.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Man, actually, Steve, I talk about this all the
He
time.
do.
Like,
He
I
do
talk
talk
about the
about this a lot.
documentary, and like now we got John, so we already know we hit up
He
now.
done
So
got hyped again.
it's going down.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going down. So we appreciate you, bro.
No problem, man. I
Definitely,
appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for having
No,
me.
thank
And
you.
congratulations
It's
for
been a
everything that y'all done built here, man. This is a big deal.
Appreciate
Anytime
it.
I see, podcast content creators, really standing the test of time, reaching milestones, 100 episodes. Y'all almost at 200 episodes. Man, that's a big deal, man. Y'all, I want to be able to celebrate y'all and give y'all flowers, because I have a lot of respect and appreciation for the work that y'all do. So thank y'all for having me. It's been an honor.
Absolutely, bro. Like, listen, I love our pocket. We have dope people doing dope things, man.
Yeah.
And the sad part about it, we slowing down though.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I walked in, they was finishing up the episode. You know what I'm saying? Y'all getting to it. Yeah, y'all getting to it. Yeah.
No, that's as I said, I love varsity. I say all the time on the podcast, I feel like we went through a renaissance. And everybody discovered what they're passionate about, what they're good at, and they're going for it. And that's like you said, we want to change the narrative of Cleveland, Akron, and just not being them stick on lake, being just, just that type of town. No, we are doing dope things in the city. We want to put a highlight on that thing.
That's right.
And my bad, John. We want to talk about the most important question. Where can people reach you? Where can they check your podcast? Where can they check out a media company? All that good stuff, bro.
So I'm on IG, John Morgan Jr. 2. That's JOHNMORGAN JR2. You can find us on YouTube at Live Your Purpose Media. On audio platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Live Your Purpose Podcast as well. We drop every Tuesday. We just dropped the episode today on Tuesday featuring my wife, Dr. Sierra Dennis Morgan. And check us out on YouTube and subscribe to the page and be checking out for the different links that we had dropping for the upcoming stories and the storytelling that we doing. I know a lot of people have been asking me if I'm gonna make the My Life documentary public. The answer to that is no. You know what I'm saying? We like to create experiences around, that story specifically, So y'all just be on the lookout, for when it's time for the next one. We will be making it available again, but I'm not making it available to the public.
Okay. Listen. Scarcity works, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
for sure.
right.
Exclusivity for
That's
sure.
right.
Exactly. Man, listen. And for all these people, that'll be the show notes. So no excuse why you're not checking out this podcast, where you're checking out everything attached to John. So that'll be for y'all. Guys, we gotta pay some bills. So, John, let me ask you a question. What are you doing April 18th?
April 18th.
If you ain't doing nothing, we got something for you.
Oh, tell me about it.
Okay, listen. So, and I'm familiar with Social Book Podcast.
Yes.
We have Mr. David Shantz coming to Cleveland, my friend.
Okay, dope.
And he's coming here to Cleveland to show you, the person watching this, about how to start your podcast, how to monetize your podcast, and how to overall just conduct your podcast as a whole. Everything we talked about tonight, and you learned from one of the actual top entrepreneur podcasts in the world. We ain't talking about in the country. We ain't talking about in the state. We talking about in the world. And he's coming here to Cleveland. He's coming here to teach you. And guess what? It's free. So listen, I need you to text Podcast Summit to
33777.
my homie. Guys, and this is more so a thing of love, because we made sure we flew Mr. Shands out and we did all this thing because we wanted to share this with y'all, because when we created this, just like John said, I would watch the podcast and I told myself, and like you said, you talk about Charlamagne, I always said to myself, if nothing else, before I retire out this game, I'll have Dave Shannon on the podcast, and God is good, because we are going to have him on the podcast.
No.
So, guys, get the tickets today, okay? Because last time I checked, we only got 30 tickets left, so please get them, and they're free.
Where the tickets at? Where can I get tickets at?
Oh, text Podcast Summit to
33777.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Get them. Yes.
Gotcha.
Guys, and then next up
would be me. Make
Yes.
sure you guys check out my weekly episodes on Beauty Toe Podcast. Again, just talking on relational, lifestyle, and financials. So the topics really will vary, but I will have great guests that's going to help us give that unbiased opinion on different topics. And again, the overall goal is just to have a positive change.
Absolutely.
So hopefully you'll learn from our mistakes. And again, we all just learn and grow together. So I will see you guys there.
Listen, and then guys, if you rock with us, I know you're gonna rock with Brittany. So I ain't worried about that. Guys, I want to thank you. Yes, you, the person watching, you, the person listening, because, guys, the podcast keeps growing. And it's not me being boastful, but last time we checked, we are like 7.4 million views on YouTube, 15,000 subscribers, and that's not take lightly because once again, you're showing you want to hear great stories like John's, and you guys, you're, and it's not about it. Most of our viewers are not even from Cleveland. This is outside the city, so y'all let us know, hey, come to Cleveland, okay, and hear great stories like John, great stories like Brittany, great stories like Steve's, okay, guys, and we can't thank y'all enough. This is episode 196, guys. 196. 200 is right there, y'all. We can't thank y'all enough, y'all. So listen, we will see y'all next time. Peace.